This is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
I'm here for Peter.
Well, we got a luck so far. That's right, kids. It's not the end of the month this month because next week you'll hear our 200th episode, but it's time for another Ben Reilly fest. All right, welcome back to Ultimate Spider-Cast. I am Phil, and you know what that means. There's some Australians here this time. From the Signal of Doom, we got our buddy Dave.
How you going, Phil? Good to be here. Hi, Ray. And hello to all the listeners as well, can I say, as we're going to go over 3, I think, fairly mediocre entries in Spider-Man's canon, but nonetheless, it's a pleasure to be here.
And that's good enough with the introduction. No. Yes, from every other podcast on Earth, yes, we have Ray.
Hey, hello everyone. Hey Phil. Hey Dave. Oh, Dave, I love it. You set the tone. To the listeners.
I want to prepare them for what lies ahead.
All right. Before we start, I have to know, Ray, did you read that new Spider-Man #1 by Dan Slott?
I haven't yet. I know what happens in it. It's on my bedside. I'm waiting to read it.
What happens? It's so good.
Spider-Woman gets killed.
Jessica Drew.
Isn't that your favorite, Ray?
Yeah. Look, I'm not too worried.
She got fridged.
Initially, I was incensed as expected, but again, after taking a few deep breaths, it is comics, and she's too big a character to be. She'll come back.
Is she?
So.
Is she though?
She is. She is. She's
a decent name.
Yeah.
Is she the one that at one point was replaced by a Skrull? Is that her?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly
the Skrull
right.
Queen.
The Skrull Queen. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So she's had her ups and downs before, anyway. So
she's quite an integral part in the Skrull invasion. Yeah.
She'll be back. There's a movie on the way from Olivia Wilde, isn't there? At some point.
Yeah. It's still.
She'll be back before you know it, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just a bit annoying that I guess. Anytime soon, we won't be having another Spider-Woman series. I mean, you can't, can you? Or maybe you can. We can continuity.
Well, you'd have a new one. You'd have a new woman being Spider-Woman.
Well,
true. Yeah.
Well, just the whole thing with the Web of Life and stuff, Ray. I think they're doing. I think what they're doing is they're going to separate her from Spider-Man and the rest of them again. So she's going to be her own.
Yeah, I mean, she really was separate.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they kind of brought her in that fold, and she's always been. On the outer and a little bit of the black sheep, which is kind of why I like her. I mean,
if she didn't have Spider in a title, she wouldn't even be involved with the family.
That's right. Absolutely. There's that tentative connection that Bendis made with Miles Warren and Jonathan Drew, her dad, and Herb Winham, the High Evolutionary. So there's that tenuous connection to Spider-Man there, but she really is her own thing. But yeah, they did bring her. I mean, which was good. They brought her into the Spider-Verse and all that kind of spider-centric kind of
and Dan
sagas.
Slott killed her. Dan Slott just killed her. What's his title called? I don't even know what it's called. What's
Adjectiveless Spider-Man.
It's just Spider-Man.
Yeah, just Spider-Man.
Okay. He hasn't milked Spider-Man's well enough. He's come back for one more squeeze,
I like him as a writer. I know, Phil, you mixed.
He's hit or miss with me. I mean, it's either good or there's some.
He did some good Spider-Man for a long time, but he was all out of good stories by the end of that run.
I mean, Superior Spider-Man was good.
Superior Spider-Man was great.
Island.
Island.
Oh yeah.
But he had a long period of quite average stories towards the end.
Is that the Parker Tech?
Industries?
Parker Industries.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, I think he sort of plateaued.
He kind of wrung that towel dry.
But now he's back again. Like, Jesus.
Oh, it's recharged, ready to go. Off the Fantastic Four, ready to pick up Spider-Man again, right?
It's great to see his promotion publicity guys on this podcast.
Oh, speaking of beloved creators, in December, Lilith and I are going to be doing an episode on Bendis's time at DC and on Superman. So if you gentlemen would love to send thoughts, we would love to.
Here's my thought: it sucked.
Spoilers.
His DC, including his Legion, some of the most mediocre material he's done, which is saying something.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm leaning on you guys. I know Dave and Phil, you both well versed in the DC universe. So yeah, I believe you.
You had to read all the Superman stuff, didn't you, for Last Sons of Krypton?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was very flat for me.
Yeah, that was
it's kind of like a soft drink without the fizz, you know.
Yeah, very flat.
Disappointing. Yeah,
disappointing. Go off to Dark Horse Bendis and stay there, please.
It's an Australian dodo.
Oh gosh. You're just making things up now, Phil. Come on. We are a fake country. Let us admit. Dave
down under, the land down under.
Is it a continent? Is it a country? I don't
It's not
know.
real.
It's both, I think, and an island. They say.
An island.
Although they always say it's an island. I'm like, it's a pretty big island. Like,
it's a very big island. It takes bloody 8 hours to actually leave Australia when you
by
take off in the air.
Most things are islands. You know, like
Exactly.
You know, surrounded by sea. Anyway, don't know how we got on this topic.
New Zealand is an island, you know.
New Zealand's an island. Tasmania is an island. Australia,
not so much. Oh, did you guys hear about? This is a scoop? You guys hear about Mephisto?
No.
It has been cast in the MCU.
Is that confirmed? I wasn't sure if that was
really
or not.
Who's playing Mephisto?
Have a guess, Dave. I'll give you
Keanu
one
Reeves.
clue. I'll give you one clue.
Keanu Reeves.
Very nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is. Who?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh Jesus! Really?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if that's confirmed. That's supposedly that's a rumor.
Wow. Oh well.
Oh,
okay.
I think he could do it. I think he could.
Harrison Ford is confirmed for Thunderbolt Ross.
Thunderbolt Ross.
I love Harrison Ford, so I was happy about that.
I love that. Yeah, I've got no qualms with that. Yeah. I mean, I love William Hurt, but Harrison Ford, yep.
Oh, did you see there was a rumor for Mr. Fantastic? There's the new rumor for who's going to play Mr. Fantastic.
Who?
Hang on. Let me guess. Is he American?
No.
Okay. Well, no, I don't know.
That Tom Ellis who played Lucifer on TV.
Oh, he's good. I liked him in that show.
Okay.
Yeah, he was really good in. I watched most of that show, and he was really good in that show. He'd be a good Mr. Fantastic. He's very suave. I'll say that. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Fantastic's not meant to be suave. Yeah, but he's a good actor.
I know, but I'm just saying.
That's some of the feedback. That's some of the feedback Charlie said. He goes, I don't know if he might be too good looking to play Reed Richards.
Oh, but he's an actor. Actors are paid to be able to be chameleons. So
I could play Mr. Fantastic. It's not that tough a role. Like some of these roles, honestly, I don't think they're that tough. I really don't. No. I don't think the characters are that complex and the scripts are that hard that anyone who looks half decent couldn't punch it out. Like, honestly, I've said that about Batman. Batman is not the world's toughest character to play.
Yeah.
I've said it before. It's not the first time I've said it.
So, Dave, how about what if Lenny Henry became Batman, Bruce Wayne?
He'd be better than some of the Batmans they've had.
Oh, God, yeah.
Lenny Henry can actually act. As in he can punch a line. That's all you need to do sometimes. Hit your mark, punch a line. That's it. He could do that.
Yeah. What is it? Markers? Stand at the markers? Yeah.
Hit the mark, bang, punch the line, get off screen.
Back
also
to the
Batman.
Yeah.
Back to the trailer, back to the coke, back to the whores, and
back to the pile of blow.
It's
just
2:47 a.m. here, and a little darker side.
We're back to Jack Nicholson. Wait, Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson just downing like bottles in his trailer.
They said he was completely on cocaine that whole time he did the Batman.
Well, he was great. I loved it. He did a great fucking performance, so maybe that was perfect. Sorry, I shouldn't swear on this podcast. My apologies.
I know how you do it down on that island. All right.
Sorry.
All right, so Let's get to these issues. What will you gentlemen like to do first? The 2 Spectacular Spider-Mans or your absolute favorite team up?
Yeah, could we get the team up out of the way?
Yeah, I think team up first.
That's how I read it. I got the team up out of the way first.
Can I say a very interesting cover to the team up with the webs everywhere?
Cover.
It was pretty cool cover, I must say. And I am a sucker. I was telling this to Ray. I am a sucker for sort of team ups like this. Like, so when I saw it with Spider-Man, who's kind of a constant, we know him very well. With the Avengers, in a time period, I certainly didn't read the Avengers, and you're sort of checking in on how everyone's going. It's interesting. The actual story I found extremely confusing, but I did like checking in with them, seeing Wasp sort of literally as kind of like, I don't know what she was, some sort of an alien-looking creature. And like Thor, just minus everything, just rocking around, like no shirt, nothing.
Hawkeye in his 90s kind of attempt of a costume.
Yeah, it was interesting in that sense. Like as a curiosity, I enjoyed it. As an actual story, I thought it was very ordinary. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, look, Phil, you know how I do love the 90s. I'm not a blatant kind of, what do you call it? I'm not a blind fan to it. I do appreciate the certain flavor it does yield. But this one, I like these Avengers, this roster of Avengers, I don't like at all. I like my 90s Avengers, and I'm talking about, Cersei, Crystal, Hercules, Black Knight,
Yeah,
Cap.
this is after that. I mean,
this is after that. And I don't like this at all.
We're barreling head, not too long from now, we're going to get the Heroes Reborn. So
and you've got I've never read it. I had heard about Iron Man coming back as a teenager. This is the first time I've ever read it. So it was interesting in that sense, just as a curiosity to see that in action.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of a jerk. That was the upshot.
It was
that whole storyline. Stay tuned for 2023, kids. That's all I'll say. The whole teenage Iron Man thing. It's that whole story gets retconned eventually, but it's just like, supposedly Tony Stark was like a pawn of Kang the whole time, and then they go back in time to bring back this 19-year-old Tony Stark.
That's pretty funny.
He gets a heart injury just like the original, and then original Tony Stark dies, and then they basically keep Teen Iron Man until they all go into Heroes Reborn, and then when they come back from Heroes Reborn, it's like, oh, regular Tony Stark's back.
Can I say, as an idea, worse ideas have been done well. It's not a terrible concept. It's the execution, and I'm sure it's how they milk it for so long that's the problem. The actual idea, we read stories with kookier ideas than that almost every week in comic books. But it was interesting to see that, and like he's putting the moves on Pepper Potts, who's married to Happy Hogan, it seems, and just a lot of stuff going on underneath the hood there.
I just think, I agree with you, Dave, as well, but I just think having a robot Spider-Man, like a watered down version of like, let's call it like a clone again. Not really, but it's kind of like a weaker version of yet another imposter for Spider-Man. It kind of gets a little tedious in that regards. I don't mind the clone stuff, obviously, because Ben has been fleshed out, and we see, and this I can't remember in this or probably the other two issues, but we see what happens with Peter and all that. But the fact that they're using this Spider-Man again, this imposter that kind of captures and de-ages people, and then throw in the mix Kang and all that. And again, I don't mind Kang if he's done kind of well. This was just too complicated for the sake. And I'm not saying complicated, hard to follow. It was just too
confused.
Convoluted. I completely understand. I remember the first time I read this, when this first came out, I'm like, man, there is a lot going on here. And again, it's not. I mean, it's like a plan of Kang's, because they took the Spider-Man robot he sent against the Avengers back in, kids, the original Avengers 11 back in the 60s, and they're just like, oh yeah, this thing just been sitting in the jungle. Let's use this. So
that was a throwback. God,
it's not even Kang. It's just like something Kang set into motion like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, they have to pump out content. They've got to make the page count. This felt like it was over a cup of coffee. Someone came up with a storyline, pitched it. The art was quite good. I felt.
Yeah, I like the art. Yeah.
At times, the storytelling was tough for the artist. I think because the story itself was confused. It wasn't just confusing. The story itself didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it almost just rewrites itself by the end, which is always a sign that the story's in trouble.
Yeah.
No. What do you think, Ray?
I had the point of the stakes kind of get wiped away. I don't know about you, but I got a little bit disappointed when I can't remember who it was. It might be Wanda or Janet. I can't remember who, but they say, but all these people that have died, they're not really dead. They're like it's equivalent to a safety deposit box where all their kind of souls are. It's like, well,
he said that. Spider-Man said that.
Spider-Man said that. Well, it's kind of like, well, that sucks because at least having all these people die and having stakes means something here. Now it's kind of all happy days for everyone. Let's wrap it up in a bow at the end, and you get that nice feel-good ending. I mean, not to say that I'm a down in the dumps kind of grizzly, loving the whole dark edge side of things, but
you do though.
At least,
you do,
yeah, I do, yeah. But at least it had stakes, and then when that's taken away, it's like, well, what's the point? There's no tension anymore.
There was a funny part where they were describing. The confusing thing was how Ben started suddenly seeing how everyone else, like Captain America was trapped inside his ice tomb. And they go, Janet, she's like crippled on the ground, but happy that she's a human again. And I was just like, what? I was like, what? Like she's trapped in this moment of nothingness, but happy she's a human. And then they have her at the end, like sobbing into the mirror, and I was just like, oh my god, that was humorous.
Yeah, I get it, Ray. I mean, that's that trap that some writers fall into where it's like, oh, it's time travel. We can just wipe everything away by the end of the story because we'll just rewind everything back and hey, the whole thing never happened.
Yeah,
And the only people that remember are Teenage Iron Man and Ben Reilly.
That's
Yeah, which is, and you get this decapitated robot in the jungle just sitting there.
Can I ask? I'm probably being a dumb reader. Why wasn't Spider-Man aged when he was fighting with the robot?
I thought they said he aged a little, but not as much as the Avengers. Because didn't they? I mean, it's hard to tell.
So you're talking about Ben Reilly, though, not Peter Parker.
Because when they crashed that Quinjet, don't one of them say, "Oh yeah, your voice sounds a little huskier"?
She said that, but I thought maybe she meant that his voice was different to Peter's voice.
No, I think it was just that, like he said, I think he aged a little bit, but not as much as the Avengers because for some reason, because it's like the robot.
No, it said that
robot Spider-Man didn't believe Ben was the real Spider-Man. There was a very weak plot point.
It was a very weak,
it was there.
It was because he thought he was Kang, maybe. Maybe that was why.
We thought Iron Man was Kang.
He thought Iron Man was Kang.
Because
I don't understand
because Teenage Iron Man, they took him from a different time period. So I guess there.
Well, it was just that. Yeah, you see the robot as well even question itself towards the end when it comes into contact with Ben. So I think it is that kind of doubt whether the robot is exactly Spider-Man, because it keeps on saying, "Oh yeah, I'm Spider-Man" to Ben.
Then it goes, "Am I?"
Yeah. So maybe that's kind of what blocked it. But yeah, I mean,
I was like, does this story mean anything at all?
Yeah, I tell you, I do like seeing Quicksilver in it, you know, just any speedster is pretty cool.
And he beat the shit out of him for a while.
He beat the hell out of him, didn't he? Like he talks about it as well. Like his head is still ringing. He was really getting delirious or whatever because of the head knocks. It's such a great. I mean, he could wipe the floor really. Any speedster.
Speedster, man, they can punch you like a couple hundred, couple thousand times. In a couple seconds,
and never get hit. You know, so. So that was fun. As for the other Avengers,
checking in on those guys. It was fun checking in on the Avengers team, who I am familiar with through other eras. I'm no expert on the Avengers, but I am familiar enough with them that it was kind of cool seeing how everyone was in like 1996 or 97 or whatever the hell this was. The Spider-Man was in it like much less than I expected. Ben Reilly. That's what, it almost felt like Avengers team up, you know?
Well, that's what I was saying before we jumped on. I think, what was this, like 50-some pages, I think? So I was reading it on the app. And Ben Reilly doesn't show up until page 22.
Yeah. And again, I mean, look, just speaking about artwork as well. I mean, again, you got to love the '90s. That Iron Man suit. I'm looking at it where he's standing next to the robot. Oh, just horrific. Like
It almost looks a bit like a Hulkbuster suit in some of the
almost,
art.
yeah.
Like it's a weird proportion they have on the art at times where you're not sure how big it is. Like it seems to be quite a bulky suit in some of the art.
Yeah, like the forearms are really, bulky.
Kind of like a junior Hulkbuster suit is what it looks like sometimes. You know?
I mean, it's so 90s, but I mean, it kind of works because think about it. It's like, okay, this is a 19-year-old Tony Stark who finally has the ability to build whatever suit he wants. It's just like a 19-year-old in 1996. You might get this suit. Yeah.
No, I dig it. Like, and I liked seeing for once the teenage Iron Man because I'd heard about it, and I'd never ever read any of that, and so it was just fun, seeing what that was like. It was kind of a curiosity, like historical thing for me just to check it out, rather than a good story because it wasn't a particularly good story.
No. I'm trying to look who the artist is because I just want
you know what that's the question I was going to ask because it looks like there's 4 different artists on this.
4 different,
really,
yeah.
It doesn't seem too disruptive. I mean, but you can see the differences. But
Steve Geiger, Derek Robertson, Dan Jurgens, our buddy, and Brandon McKinney. So
Derek Robertson's pretty good as well. Yeah.
Derek Robertson from The Boys and from Transmet isn't he?
Yeah, The Boys.
So, yeah.
I know from but I like the art. I mean, overall, despite the '90s flair that you get, it was really good. Because you can get you get a lot of '90s. You can get a lot of '90s issues that really seem art wise that it's phoned in, and unfortunately, I have to say that to some of the artists, it just doesn't come up to scratch. But this was quite good.
I mean, for having 4 different artists, I think this was more cohesive than a lot of books where you'd get like multiple artists.
100%.
Yeah,
the art was not the weak point in this book. The art was actually probably the strongest thing in this book.
I was surprised because I didn't see. I swear, I don't know if I just missed the credits, but like I had to look up who wrote this. Like I'm surprised because he usually puts out some quality. Or
who was it?
The late George Perez.
Oh, he wrote it. Okay.
Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah.
He really got into the time travel thingy, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if some writers get into that trap of just, oh hey, look, I know my Marvel history. Hey, I'll pull something from Avengers number 11.
Yeah, it's not necessarily
it can be done well.
Gold.
It can be done well, but it's all about execution. Like
exactly.
the actual concepts of this, I didn't have a problem with. It was, I mean, the script is terrible. Like, I'm sorry, George Perez, rest in peace. You're great, but this was, like I said, this was a cup of coffee script where he just kind of came up with something and put down a few ideas and just kept rolling.
Yeah,
and I always say it's probably the hardest thing to write a team book because it's like. Yeah. You have to use the characters as they appear in their monthly team book, or their solo books. So like maybe he didn't want to write Teen Iron Man, but guess what? Iron Man's a teenager at this point, so you have to write him that way. Or
no, it's a challenge, and really he put a lot of story into these pages. Like, it probably felt like a better idea in his mind when he pitched it than it was executed. Like there is a story here that could be done well, but it was the execution.
I think it needed heavily needed some editing. I think. There's a lot of sorry again, R.I.P. Perez. A lot of waffle in the dialogue that could just be cut, and it just could be tightened up. I think a little bit more.
What do you think? Just because the issue is it's like a bigger issue, like maybe if it's a regular size issue and compressed and edited.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it needed to really. I mean, we discussed there are a lot of ideas, so maybe it just needed. It just seems that the dialogue was a little bit heavy and didn't really need to be. There are a lot of characters, so maybe Perez wanted to give everyone at least something to say, but. By doing that, you kind of bog down the pacing of the story.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah.
Look, I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. Barely a pass. What are you
4.5
giving it,
or
Ray?
5.
4.5,
Yeah, about
yeah.
4.5, 5. It's really teetering on to whether I passable as to what I mean. Just as in to read it again. I've got no inclination to read it again. But how about you, Phil?
I mean, I guess I'll be nice. I'll give it a 6. But
So you're being very nice.
Yeah. You know what I think the big problem is? I think Perez tried. They cram all the Avengers into this. I'm like, I don't know if that's another thing. Maybe pick I don't know, 3, 4
Exactly.
Avengers.
Totally agree.
Cut down the cast.
Well, it actually felt like an Avengers kind of oversized monthly comic, not a Spider-Man team up. It actually, I was reading this thinking this feels like this could have just been an Avengers comic.
Yeah.
There's so much inter-team sort of dialogue. How funny though is that guy? Always that prick of a guy. What's his name? Grinch or something? He always turns up.
Gyrich.
Henry
Gyrich.
But he calls Captain America Commissar Captain America. I was like, who the f is this guy? Talking like this about Cap. So there was a lot going on just Avengers wise in this.
Yeah.
I know, because again, it seemed like we got certain Avengers, and then Captain America seemed crowbarred in at certain points, and I'm just like,
absolutely.
It was hard I mean, I knew who was on the Avengers. It was hard for me to keep track of. Hey, there's Crystal. There's Captain America. There's.
Would be equally unhappy on the flip side if artistically or story wise all the Avengers were there, but if more than half of them didn't have anything to say, then it would be painfully obvious as well. Yeah. So, I think maybe just cutting the crew down, maybe saying that half of the team are gone somewhere. I don't want to venture into giving ideas because I'm not, obviously not.
I will
in the level of the writers, but
I'll give ideas. They could have trimmed down one of my things I always feel, and I'm not an Avengers comic collector. I always feel like the team just feels vast whenever I read it, unless it's certain specific times. I feel like it's a cast of thousands in the Avengers. It's very top heavy. It's very much an organization, and it's like a workplace. There's just so many people, and I just feel like if you're doing a team up, you want to keep the box relatively small to focus.
Well, I mean, they do have those rules, don't they, Phil? I mean, the core teams are meant to be 6 or 7, so you're stuck with 6 or 7, and I think generally it works well in the fact that when you have subplots or secondary stories, then you split the team up, and that's to give the point of difference, and that's when I think it works. But when everyone's on the same, storyline, it gets a bit crowded. It does.
I mean, it depends. Usually sometimes they have bylaws or whatever to say they limit however many members, but depending who's writing it, some people might just be like, I can pull from this vast pool of members from the last, however many 60 years or whatever. So
all right. So what was that? 4.5, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. A last shout out to Thor Fabio.
Yeah. Shirtless Thor.
That was funny.
Barely did anything in this storyline apart from just fly around a bit,
Fly around and look at his hair.
Because in the 90s, Thor, Odin stripped him of a lot of his power. He's hanging out with the Enchantress on Earth.
Is he?
Oh yeah. Oh, there. Oh yeah.
that,
Mike
Dave.
Diodato is you should read that book.
Cool.
At this time, Dave, because the first arc, you get half. Well, there was I still burned to my brain, man. There's a page or two of Enchantress just holding a sheet over her, and that's all she's wearing.
Good. I like
Dave's
it. I like it already.
Dave's already clicking.
That wicked witchcraft.
I'll tell you, there's a bit of a running theme there. I'm currently reading the Diodato. I can't remember who the writer is. Tigra miniseries from 2006 or 8. Yeah, but Diodato was a carnal scene, as always it seems.
Ray, I was telling Lilith I needed to tell you the latest issue of Wonder Woman. I think it was 792 or something. I don't know if they're doing something different with the cheetah. She had been all animalistic before, and now I don't know if they're doing something different. But she comes walking in like these tight clothes, and she kind of looks like Tigra. I was like, are we trying
Oh.
to turn Cheetah in like a
Wow.
tiger?
Wow.
Tiger addiction. All right. Yeah.
I'll be checking that out. Don't worry. Okay. So,
Yeah. Meow.
Crap. All right. Do we want to do the Spectacular Spider-Man issues?
yeah.
I'll kick this off by saying I felt this was very, very, very mediocre. I actually found this, although it read fast, I felt the Avengers one was actually more interesting just because it had more people. Like
Right.
the storyline in both is poor. And believe you me, I couldn't care less about Willow Wisp or whoever that guy is. But I was like, man, it didn't feel like that long ago. We were doing this podcast, and we had Tom DeFalco, we had James DeMatteis, Howard Mackie. They were really bouncing around, ideas that kept me really interested. I found myself truly bored during these 2 issues, and I was like, wow, it really felt like this was the B Team's month. You know
what? I think from now to the end of this Clone Saga, like we lose some people. Like JMD Mateus is gone, but he magically reappears as soon as on Spectacular Spider-Man as soon as the Clone Saga is over. So I think people because this one was by Todd DeZago, who kind of like
he's popped up every now.
Yeah, he starts writing some books now until the end of the Clone Saga. So
well, I think of it this way. I'd not read this before. These issues. I think back to myself. If I went into a comic store back then and read this, would I buy the next issue? The answer would be no. You know what I mean? Unless it was pure brand loyalty to that particular title. I'm just talking like I go and I pick this one up. A lot of the Clone Saga stuff we've done, I would keep reading. A lot of it. I felt this one was very non-essential and almost should have been a single issue rather than 2 issues, in my opinion. Might have made it a bit more punchy. Just my opinion, guys. I thought this was very
absolutely.
forgettable. Yeah.
No, okay. I'm slightly different. I guess there were a few things here that kind of piqued my interest. Number one, I'd say Will-O-the-Wisp. I know he's not a factor, like a huge villain for Spider-Man, but for me, I've always associated him with... that's kind of like, I'd say, like charming, kooky villains or allies that Spider-Man have. So I put him in the kind of the sandboxes, say, like Carrion, Puma.
I love Puma. Puma's great.
Paste Pot Pete. All those kind of really those wacky. Spider-Man wacky rogue villains or allies that. Rocket Racer, Sandman as well. I know he's a lot bigger now.
He's a great.
Yeah, but I mean, Will-O-the-Wisp, I've always seen him around. Like he was part of that, the Silver Sable, and she had a little team.
The Wild
going.
Pack.
The Wild Pack. Yeah. And so I've always been intrigued with him. So I kind of enjoyed seeing him here, and I guess number 2 as well. I viewed these Spectacular Spider-Man issues, again, kind of akin to some of the Spider-Man issues that I've loved, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's definitely the Sal Buscema art, but is it Jerry Conway that was writing it at the time? No. Whoever was writing it in that era with Sal Buscema...
Jerry Conway did write it during them, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, you mean like late 80s, early 90s? Yeah. Jerry Conway was kind of writing Spectacular and Web of Spider-Man at that time, so
but Jerry Conway and Sal Buscema, those sorts of stories. This story reminded me of that, by having Dragon Man as well. It's a very simple plot.
I did like Dragon Man. I did like that was in there. That was actually that piqued my interest, I think, more.
Dragon Man's always cool.
Yeah, sometimes I find when I read these comics, at times I feel like they are literally, how there was like comics for kids and all that. Sometimes I read them, I'm like, this is definitely targeting a younger audience, like like 12 under. And I felt that if I had nephews or something, this would be one I would toss them amongst many other better ones just to give them. This is when they're just grinding them out. This is just grind style comics,
Exactly. For me, and there's something comforting about that. I mean, Phil, I've raised it many times with you. Night and Fog. There's the Z grade, that sort of stuff. I love that. That was in
what's
Night and Fog are these British villains that lasted like 2 issues or something. They were chasing. God, what's his name? The guy with the glasses, Phil.
The Arranger.
The Arranger.
Right,
They were chasing.
Yeah.
Chasing the Arranger. They were this really one guy could put on. He could. I don't know, kind of like Colossus, but he kind of arms himself.
Yeah,
with this
they kind of get powers in an accident. Surprise! Yeah, the one can like armor up, and the other one can turn to light.
Is it Marvel or not?
Yeah, Marvel. But
it was like a 3-issue Spectacular Spider-Man arc. That's like the only.
It was Spider-Man versus these guys, but it was that kind of like silly, stupid adventure. Which 90s. Again, this is 90s. I just and I kind of like those silly stories, and so I'll put this in that same vein. I thought the pacing went well. Two issues was all you needed. You had Jonas Harrow. I mean, he was the least interesting, but at least you had Wisp and Dragon Man there. So I kind of enjoyed it.
Cool.
How about yourself, Phil?
Yeah, the whole thing with Jonas Harrow and Willow Wisp and stuff, like those characters, I mean, like Ray said, I think Wisp may have made one appearance in the early 90s, but those are like I know they appeared in the 80s. So I don't know if Todd DeZago just had like, some of his favorite stuff from like the 80s and just threw him in a book. But
he had the handbook handy.
Yeah.
He probably had the hard copy, a printed version of the handbook.
And I don't. You know what? If I was writing Marvel, I would too. And if done very well, it can be done well. It was done fine here. Like this is adequate stuff. But what's the harm in having a handbook and bringing out a few CD
nothing
listers?
at all.
Like there's no harm. Like Jeff Johns did it on Green Lantern, to great effect. It's handy, because otherwise you're just doing the ones who are always every writer does, and it's it's Green Goblin again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't think it's a bad story, but I could tell this was like a new writer, like different than who was ever writing Spectacular previously. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, true. It was still, still enjoyable enough. I think for me, the art as well was good.
I thought it was good, and I like the stuff with Peter. I noticed that Peter is and Mary Jane are obviously back now. He has the heart attack, and he's in hospital.
It's okay. This thing is going to be weird because we're going to kind of get the Peter stuff out of order because, I mean, look at these 2 Spectacular Spider-Man issues. You could tell that takes place one after the other because of where, what Ben's doing with Dragon Man and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, I swear, probably coming up maybe next month, you're going to see Peter actually pass out and have like an attack and get rushed to the hospital at the end of a Spider-Man issue.
Right, so they do it again.
The timeline's kind of wonky, yeah.
They address it in the trade as well. It says, pages 115 of this issue 235, including Peter's spasm, occurs before Peter's collapse. So even in the trades as well, because I'm reading, this is off book 5, but book 4 still has that issue after those issues we covered last time, with Peter's collapse. So it is wonky. It's all kind of...
But I was going to say, I noticed when Mary Jane's waiting in the hospital waiting room that she's still pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Still heavily pregnant. What happens with that? Does she actually have a kid, or is it a miscarriage, or what is the story?
She kind of gets poisoned. The mastermind sends someone to like poison her, and she kind of miscarries at the end. She
does. Right?
Yeah, we'll get that at the end.
Because I'm always like, I know that's the story that time forgot kind of thing. You know what I mean, Ray? Like they just don't bring that up, and
they don't mention it. No,
which is probably a good idea. But I'm also when you see it, you're like, oh, that's right. You know what I mean? It's you think they almost went through with it. We were talking to James DeMatteis the other week, and he said it would have been interesting to actually have had the baby. He thought it was a really good idea to have the baby, and
it's so weird how they haven't revisited it because it is such a big concept, and Marvel has been known, I mean, I guess DC as well, just to rehash older ideas. And but it's weird that Mary Jane, she's had like minis and limited series of her own, and nothing's really come of it. So
well, it's odd, and I believe at this point in time, quite recently, CB Sabowski gave this answer to someone asking him at a con, and he was like, "No, we're not gonna put them together. Like, you're not gonna get the answer you want or something." And I was just like, "Okay, like, odd." You know?
A lot of people clamoring for that, including myself, and they're like, "Yeah, no,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because they're kind of teasing now. Like, I don't know if Peter's going to get back with Felicia.
Yeah.
I don't get it because like so much of their product and so much of the movies and stuff have that in it. It's weird the comics don't. I don't understand.
Yeah,
that,
and there's so many people clamoring for it, and it's like, bring that marriage back. I mean, look what DC. I mean, they brought back Superman's marriage because people, look, they have a TV show about him being a married father now.
And like it doesn't weaken the character. I just don't get it because it's not like they did it for 2 years and it failed.
No.
They had it for a long time, so it's embedded in the culture.
No, that marriage was like 20 years. It was like from 87 to the end of 2000.
I sometimes think, I've called him out before, CB Sabowski. I sometimes think this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like, him and Brevoort together, I'd love to see them both go. I've called for them many times, but they won't. It's like they've signed a life deal with fucking Mephisto to be the heads of Marvel. Because no matter how poorly the books do, no matter how much fans hate what they're producing, they somehow just still exist.
Yeah.
Like, it's bizarre to me.
I think that the comics these days on both sides are just seen as a loss leader because it's like, especially Marvel. If we can spin $1 billion movies out of it,
what does it matter? Kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, that was I was gonna ask, but even that's not really consistent. Whether it's the fact that in the MCU, with Tom Holland, that they are now portraying Spider-Man as, just recently left high school or, getting into uni. So he's meant to be the young version that maybe Marvel's viewing. Okay, well, we've got.
But even he has a romance with the Zendaya.
That's true. I know. Yeah. So
I don't know.
It's strange.
And CB Sabowski, when questioned, was evasive, and he was like, "I know that's what you want, but you're not going to get it." And I was just like, man,
it's like, why don't you marry him? It's like, you want to you want a single Spider-Man. You have how many Spider people now? Miles Morales. There's your young single Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. I mean, and unless there's a huge plan for Mary Jane and Peter, there's no reason to. I can't see why the editor-in-chief would say, "Oh, don't worry about it." There are no plans.
I've got an answer for you, Ray. He's a clown. He's always been a clown. He's a moral coward. It's Akira Yoshida. He's been lying since the get-go. Now, I've got something, now that I've got off my soapbox about CB, who, by the way, I haven't tweeted recently, Ray. We haven't had communication lines have broken down again. I have a thing. Richard and I were discussing on Signal last show. It was about the Madam Web movie and the Craven movie and this and that. And I was saying it's weird they don't have Spider-Man. I pitched that I know that Peter Parker is kind of tied up with the Marvel Universe and they probably need Marvel, kind of co-approval and stuff. Why couldn't you bring in from the bench like Ghost Spider to play the role of the central Spider character in those movies? Because Ghost Spider's popular. She's got that great design. She's similar enough. She could easily fill the role. She ticks enough of the boxes and she's in Spider-Verse and kids know who it is. You could bring her in and sub her in to play that role. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm racking my brain now, with the casting.
I always wonder if it's just legal stuff because
could be.
Just the characters Sony are trying to spin a movie out of. I just think maybe Marvel's like, no, well, if you try to do live action Ghost Spider, no, we have to be involved. If you try to do a live action Miles Morales, we have to do that. Oh, you want to do Craven? Oh yeah, go ahead, do that.
But do they though? Because surely I thought that it was more of a creative. The financial take was mostly Sony's, I read anyway, and that it was Peter Parker that was the one that they were co-sharing,
Because it does seem weird though that they're basing their movies on, largely like Madam Web.
Madam Web's an odd decision.
It's not even going for what you pitched, Dave, and having Gwen, who might be a replacement for Peter Parker. She's not even featured in that movie. So it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's certain ones they have to share, they don't share. But again, too, Sony wants to try to find the ones they don't have to share because then they get 100% of the profits. Instead of having to split with Disney. And stuff.
You're saying when they bought it all those years ago.
I'm pretty sure they've said that with other characters. Before they bought the X-Men, or it's like. Yeah, when they make deals, I think they spell it out.
They have the rights of this character.
Because Ghost Spider wasn't even created when Sony bought the Spider-Verse. Sony owned Spider-Verse since the late 90s,
but that Marvel deal, but they didn't deal with Marvel until or Disney until what was it like at least 2000.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering if they even own the rights to.
But around the time of like Civil War, when Spider-Man first
Ongoing
appeared in the
negotiations,
MCU, I think
Dave.
there was a big, that's when contracts were signed.
Yeah, they reevaluate, revisit.
Well, Lilith has a theory where it's like she doesn't think like Disney couldn't even mention Uncle Ben in those movies, because you really don't mention Uncle Ben in those movies.
You don't, and he was literally replaced by Aunt May.
True.
Yeah.
But he was all through the original two, franchise
Sony
pictures.
Purely Sony. Yeah.
But again, I just don't think Disney. I don't know.
There is something.
Or they had to pay extra money.
There's more to it. Yeah, there's more to it. I agree. Like
legal.
But I do think so. It would behoove Sony to cut a deal to get a Spider character in those movies. It doesn't have to be Peter Parker. And I think Ghost Spider is a really good choice. She's female. She's got a great costume. Her personality is pretty similar. You can ride her with the wisecracking and stuff and she's into the Spider-Verse, and she's in Amazing Friends thing, that cartoon. So kids know her. She's known.
That's why I'm thinking, and where it's kind of like, oh, you guys can do it in animation, but you can't use her or like Miles in live action, because they do have into the Spider-Verse and stuff. So why wouldn't you do live action? So
And so Phil and Lilith are on the bridge eating popcorn, waiting for that train to just, come off the rails. The Sony movies, like Madam Web and Craven, like all of them are just gonna. Well, isn't that right, Phil? You reckon they're all gonna bomb? I mean, I'm
if they even get made. Because remember, I mean, they were promising us a Black Cat, Silver Sable movie.
Well, they are shooting Madam Web now. They are shooting Madam.
Oh yeah, they're deep in production. Yeah. It's due out, I think, early 2024.
Hey, Dave, we were gonna get a Batgirl movie too. That was getting filmed too, and
true.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm with you guys. I'll join you on that bridge. I think, unfortunately, the longer they go on.
Although they spun Morbius into existence.
I know, but it wasn't a hit, was it? Like, it didn't make big money.
I can't believe the internet was like, "Oh yeah, re-release that in theaters. We'll go see it." And then
it's
that was silly. I'm hoping Madam Web goes well. I just have no interest, unfortunately, in Craven. Like,
I do.
I'd have more of it if he was playing off Spider-Man, or Peter.
Yeah.
But for him having a solo movie, I don't know. I just don't know how I should feel about that.
But what about if it could be done. I would bring a little bit of like a sprinkle of Spider-Man in there, but I'd have him like hunting the Rhino and stuff. Okay. You could do it. I'd almost make it like a Sinister Six kind of thing. Okay. Maybe he's hunting them, something. I think it could be done, whether audiences will respond and whether they do a good job. After I saw Morbius, which a movie that I was like, this is very ordinary. I'm enjoying it for what it is, but it's nothing special. Whereas I quite enjoyed the two Venom films, I had fun with both of them. I thought both of them were fun movies. So, I don't know.
See, even then, I think Venom and Morbius, I think the concept for the characters is exciting. And I'm talking about appeal to not only just comic book fans, but the greater audience. They've both got a hook. Whereas I think Kraven the Hunter is just a little bit, bland to try and pitch to someone that hasn't read the comics or actually know about Kraven's Last Hunt. Because let's face it, that's the first go-to we all think about when we think about Kraven. So they're trying to pitch this guy in the loincloth, just hunting things.
That's what Ray thinks is missing. He needs that damn loincloth.
Well, yeah, Ray's clearly wanting that. He wants the shotgun in the mouth. No, but it'd be cool if... I'm just trying to think of ways to do it. It would be cool if he was hunting like some of Spider-Man's rogues and doing really cool takedowns of them and stuff.
Yeah, there has to be a connection. You're going to have to either get, Mark Gargan, Scorpion, or Michael Keaton. You've got to somehow connect.
Got to get Rhino in there.
Yeah, because that
what's the guy's name? Paul Giamatti, who played Rhino. Remember Paul Giamatti?
Oh my gosh,
Jesus!
I like the Ultimate Rhino suit, but his character was abysmal. Like it was terrible. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. He took a paycheck for that one. That's all he did. He was sure, I'll take the money.
The frustrating thing is because he's a good actor.
He's a great actor. Paul Giamatti, excellent.
You've wasted, your talent there.
It was a joke. But Yeah, look, I just thought, it's worth discussing, and we'll see. But Rich hated my idea. But Rich is passionately against all the Spider family. He hates.
He doesn't know.
Yeah,
I know.
he's just down on the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like
Peter Parker or bust, isn't it?
Peter Parker or bust. Whereas I'm like, they've got Ghost Spider, they've got Ghost, they've got Miles Morales, blah blah blah. They've got enough characters there on the bench that I think that sometimes it's worth subbing one of those guys in, and they can play the same role that Peter would have done, and you don't have the problem of having to share it. But as you say, Phil, there's probably a ton of deals that we're totally unaware of behind the scenes. Can I just shift, guys? I wanted to mention that I watched with Michelle just tonight the finale to She-Hulk, and I was very impressed. And we've enjoyed the show. It's been it's kind of been a pleasure to watch, frankly. And I thought the finale was excellent.
Yeah, I agree as well. Look, the only real quibble I have was, and I think one of the reviewers put it, was that the CGI was inconsistent in some, which kind of took you out. Like there were some stunning like CGI effects. Like there was some moments where She-Hulk looked awesome. Like really realistic.
But most of the time she didn't.
She looked like a video game character, which unfortunately was a downer, but. Tatiana Maslany, I think the tone of the show, I think the cameo appearances, surprise guest stars, I think it was all gold. I loved it.
Can I bring up, if you've seen it, Phil, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I watched the whole thing.
So there's spoilers here. This is for you, Ray. At the end with Hulk and his spoiler son, Michelle was not reacting positively. She's like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I was like, it's a long storyline.
That was my wife. She's like, he has a son. I was like, yes.
He's got. No, then Michelle was like, he just seems like a real dick. And I was like, I think he kind of is. I think
he
that's
is.
Kind of
he is a He is a dick. But I totally agree with Michelle. Again, like just a little quibble. It wasn't enough to ruin the episode or anything for me, but it just seemed tacked on. It seemed really out of place. It's like we had all this fun fourth wall breaking stuff. We had, Kevin, the AI unit, and
that was cool.
That was, and did you? My jaw was on the floor when that menu came up and She-Hulk busted out of it. I'm going, what?
I told you they were doing a John Byrne break the fourth wall, and
absolutely. So that all that good stuff, and then like trying to bring in not a big ticket character, but he's a significant character of a significant.
I would honestly say save that for a Hulk movie, rather than just kind of ruin it.
Was that what they're dropping, saying, "Oh, hey, Planet Hulk's coming," or
but I'd rather wait for Planet Hulk to see it. That's what I'm saying. As Ray's saying, I felt kind of cheated by just having him pop in at the family barbecue. I was kind of like, this is how we're introducing this character.
I think it was a tick that they had to the box that they had to tick. Like, we've got to fit him in somewhere. I'll just chuck him in there.
If Hulk's son's there, where's Dakin? Wolverine's son.
Well, we got to introduce the X-Men first, because I love how she's even like, when are we gonna get the X-Men?
That was the best, one of the best moments as well. Yeah, really.
Yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there to listeners that I really did enjoy that show. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I have to ask about Dave's favorite character. What did you think of Daredevil?
It's okay. I don't mind Daredevil. I've watched all the I like that actor, and I watched all the Daredevil shows. I the only time that you'll see me really go rabidly anti Daredevil is when he's fighting Punisher. That's when I really. But no. In general, I've watched all the Daredevil with Charlie Cox, and I think it's really cool that he's in the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of flack, I guess, Dave, of his tone being a little bit more lighthearted in She-Hulk as opposed to the.
It's darker... a lighthearted show. What do they expect?
Exactly. That's exactly.
And also that actor's got a fairly light touch a lot of the time, even in his own show. He did have a light touch at times. So I mean, honestly, these are people who are just complaining about everything. Anything.
Yeah.
That's Richard. Richard'd be complaining about that if he was here right now. Richard'd be complaining about that. I'll complain for him on his behalf.
I can't wait. I think it's not till 2024, but I mean, Daredevil's getting a Born Again series, 18 episodes.
Bring it on. Hopefully, Punisher comes back in, man. I'm hoping John Berthnall comes back.
Stick around on this mudball, Dave. Until then, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, there was on the show last week, Rich announced with glee that some of the Marvel films have been pushed into the future. So I'm going to have to stick around till 2026 or something for Secret Wars. So,
Why is Richard happy about that? That's actually, he's
'Cause he
losing
just
his
loves-
bet. But he's losing his bet now.
He is losing his bet. He's forgotten about his bet because he just loves sticking. He's been prophesizing the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for years.
So Phil, sorry, can I interrupt there, Dave. So Phil, Dave's co-host Richard made a huge call that by end of 2025 was it, or 2025, that there'll be like no more comic book movies. That everyone will move on. That's the end of
which is not going to happen because they've just got so many slated that some at least will keep going.
It's impossible. We haven't got Fantastic Four. We haven't got X-Men. It
was a stupid comment from Richard, but he put a lunch on it, so I was happy to take the bet.
So what are you telling me? Richard's just being a dick?
It's just his personality. He just looks on the negative side for Marvel. He's not a huge Marvel guy, so he takes great delight if they ever have a sort of.
Of course, it's a tall poppy syndrome. So,
and he's also just a bit of a grump. So really, that's what it boils down to.
Oh my God, Dave is the lighthearted one.
I am. Oh yeah, no, compared to Rich. Oh yeah. Look, don't forget it's 12:33 a.m. here, so I'm pretty tired. But no, Rich he's very much a glass half empty kind of guy.
Yeah. Like a broken glass.
And he would definitely smashed. He would definitely agree with that comment as well.
So I mean, tracking back at, I don't know. Are we marking this issue, or are we going to mark both issues?
I'm giving both. I'm giving the two issues overall a 5.
Oh
wow!
Yeah, like I think it's almost the exact same score as the team up. Frankly, different flavor, and it's passable, but it's just passable to me. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll give it a little bit more. I edge towards a 7. I think this has all the ingredients of. This has all the ingredients of your typical Spider-Man title. Like, there's a little bit of relationship drama, Peter in hospital, that sort of stuff. Kooky villains, crazy Jonas Harrow, some mad scientist. Had some wild action, so all that sort of stuff. But everything that I mentioned as well, there's a nostalgic factor to it, which colours my view, and the fact that I kind of like, the likes of Will-O-the-Wisp and. As I mentioned, those sorts of characters in the Marvel Universe, there's just something that's really cool about them.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Ray. I think we're gonna give it a 7. I mean,
wow.
Technically, it's not it's not a bad story. I think it's just maybe a little bland. Maybe we could have added some stuff. I did like certain elements, just like even Ben sitting there calling Peter, and it's like, oh, it's nice to have Peter back in town.
That was
because Ben had never encountered Will-O-Wisp before, so he's just like, oh, hey, what's the story on this guy? I always like that element, and then Peter's having like a heart attack or something, and Jonah's still like, get out of my office.
How funny was it when Peter has his feet up on the desk?
Yes.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Jonas thing. That was a good moment. That was actually one of my favorite parts of this storyline was the Peter Ben interaction. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. So you know what? I'm going to raise my score to a 5.5. There you go.
Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah,
5.5. You've swayed me.
Yeah, it's just got enough fantastical stuff as well to kind of keep that. As you say, Dave, I think this would really do well for like younger readers.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I got no. Yeah, I got no.
Not every
story.
Not every story has to be Watchmen. Not every story has to be
exactly.
Dark Knight Returns.
Absolutely.
Like, you can just pump out stories that are just like a good solid, like a 6.5 to a 7,
fun,
or a 6
popcorn,
to 7, and they're just fine. Yeah,
and again, you're churning out 4 regular Spider-Man books a month at this
100%.
point, and I think Team
100%.
Up was like a quarterly or something. So you got plenty of gonna turn out a lot.
And as you said, Dave, like that Spider-Man Team Up. Although it isn't a regular book, that did not feel like a Spider-Man book for me. As you said, that was like more of an Avengers. Whereas these 2 issues are very much kind of like Spider-Man books.
No, they're proper Spider-Man books, and
like
it is fun. That's the fun part about the Clone Saga, that you have Ben and you have Peter and you have Mary Jane, and they're all sort of good guys. So they're like their own little team. They're chatting between them and stuff. That's kind of fun, to me.
It is.
Like.
It is.
Like, I must say, I'm enjoying the Ben Reilly stuff so much more than I thought I would, because I only knew it by reputation,
Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun, and you get some hidden gems as well, which we've kind of covered.
Sure. Yeah.
Hits and misses though, as you said, because that comes with the territory for the length of it. I just want to call out, just one little scene here that I found pretty cool. It was when Willow the Wisp catches up with Harrow, and he talks about like how Ben ripped out the implant by by when he was intangible, and then so he kind of goes into Harrow's chest, and then he kind of backs off. And he says to Peter and Dragon, "What do you think I was going to do?" And I thought that's so funny because I thought he was going to rip his heart out.
I that's what I thought he was going to do. What was he going to do?
Well, that was it. I think
it was just a symbolic thing. It's like, hey, look, I was
just
going to
scaring
rip
him.
your heart out, but you have no heart.
Yeah, just to scare him. Yeah, but
so it's just a scare tactic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
like
he could
Batman
easily have done
hanging
it.
someone off the building, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. He
Gotcha.
could have easily done it, I reckon.
Yes, Dave, the Batman thing. Yes.
War the Captainite. I know Ray's 24/7 on Batman these days. Ray rarely leaves Gotham City.
Oh, gosh.
Batman.
Look, I will admit though that I did love the Xbox game. I did.
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum, was it?
Oh yeah.
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. I think
yeah. Oh yeah. Arkham Asylum's good if you haven't played Arkham Asylum's good if you haven't played Arkham City. Right? Oh, it's awesome because you just get to go through the.
I think I played two, so I think I must have played Arkham City as well.
The last remember one's the best one. Arkham Knight's the best one, I think.
Okay. I think I might have missed that. I just
Jason
remember
Todd.
being like just getting so into it because you can explore the whole city,
Yeah.
but then I remember being slightly disappointed at the end because I got up to the last the end, that last bit, and then obviously it took me a few goes because it was quite difficult, but then. The credits started. It's like, oh no, is that the end? It's like
You just wanted to stay there, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Night, all to do with Batman.
Before we know it, Ray one day will be renouncing Khonshu and he'll be burning his Moonlight hood and he'll be taking up the mantle of the Bat. That's what.
No, he's sacrificed how many virgins, Dave? He's not.
He has sacrificed a lot of virgins, but maybe he's starting to run out of them. They're hard to find in Sydney, so
Well, at least the places we frequent, Dave. So.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The dens of iniquity that we frequent and visit.
But yeah, Ray, just reach out. Tell me when next year you guys want to do some Batman Predator crossover.
Absolutely. I'm all down for that. Dave, you in?
100%. I'm Batman Predator, please. Yes.
Yeah.
All of them are good. I love all three. They're all good.
Okay. Yeah.
They're all good.
Awesome.
It's all good value. But well, I mean, I don't know how much more there is to say. But what's up next, Phil?
Glad you asked, Dave. Yes, next month we'll be covering Spider-Man 70 and 71, Sensational Spider-Man number 7, and Amazing Spider-Man 414, featuring the first appearance of someone who I know is going to be one of Dave's new favorites, Delilah. The sexy assassin.
Delilah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And also, what's your that show you do with the brackets of the worst movies? What are you up to
on Patreon? Well, for the October episode, we're gonna have Spawn versus Meteor Man, and then in November we're gonna take the Marvel finalist, the DC finalist, and the Indie finalist. We're gonna crown a winner in November. Dave, so.
Wow, so it's all heating up.
Uh-huh.
Sign up to that Patreon, kids.
That's right, kids.
Patreon.
Subscribe to the Patreon. Catch up on the seasons before the finale in November.
I'm glad Bloodshot made it. I'm glad he didn't make the cut. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe if we do a round 2, Ray, you never know.
No.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Bloodshot.
No, I didn't hate it as well.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, so I could.
Okay.
It's passable. Like
it's inoffensive.
It is. Like honestly, I'd put it around the same level as Morbius. I thought it was decent enough to watch. I'm not going to sit there saying it's the worst movie of all time.
Yeah, no,
it's Morbin time.
Is it the proverbial $10 prostitute, Dave? It's not pretty, but it gets the job done.
100%. $10. Jeez, I don't know where you're getting.
You don't-
Where you're shopping.
Oh, geez.
Well, that's
no.
an old joke. So I'm
High
sure
roller.
even the
High
cheap
roller.
ones are more now. Yeah.
$10 is not going to get you too far at all.
Dave's like, I pay much more for my cheap hooker.
Won't get you through the door.
All right.
Ray chuckles knowingly.
Oh. What are you
Okay.
saying? You're saying Ray was a cheap hooker? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I neither confirm nor deny anything.
Yeah, I can keep it
This
silent
late
on the
hour.
matter.
All right. So yes, kids. Yes, come back. Yes, in a month we'll be covering that. And for the other episodes in November, we'll be in our, I believe, our 4th annual Gobble Gobble month, where we make fun of any of the goblins. This time we're back to Mac and Dale. Oh, it's except for next week, kids, you'll hear me and Lil talking about Spider-Man vs. Wolverine #1 and Web of Spider-Man 29.
Cool.
Nice.
I believe there's
Sweet.
some dead leads, but yes. So
Yeah.
send your
Spider-Man
thoughts.
Wolverine, Dave. You love that. That's
I-
Christopher Priest.
Absolutely love it. Like, it's a
Owsley.
great comic, actually, frankly.
Yeah.
No, it's a great comic.
So send your thoughts on that, on our upcoming Ben Reilly episode. Any questions for Dave? Ask Ray what his favorite Batman stories are. Email us,
Yeah.
CapesandLunatics@gmail.com.
Anything involving Jason Todd getting smashed in with a crowbar. Yeah.
Oh no! Me and Lil just did those Elseworlds where Batman's a vampire.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know,
Yes.
Batman's getting staked and stuff, and I'm like, this would be
Yeah.
Ray's favorite story
Oh,
because
yeah.
It's also
yeah.
Red Rain and everything.
Ray, Batman's getting staked and stuff, and 2, they're written
Yeah.
by Doug Mensch.
Yeah.
Th-
With Kelly
that,
Jones on art.
Yeah,
that panel is on my bedroom ceiling, so don't worry. It's
Whoa! Whoa!
Jesus, really?
Whoa! I know. Jeez.
Ray's just staring up at it, just going, yeah.
Not now,
This is
honey.
it.
I'm busy. Oh, I knew it was going to be his favorite one from that DC vs. Vampires when Vampire Nightwing puts like his whole fist through Batman's chest. I'm like,
Oh.
that's going to be Ray's favorite panel. All right, so
love
email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can follow Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, on Twitter. Find links to all the various social medias for all the shows we do, Marvel, DC, and the upcoming in 2023. Salty and Petty with me and Lilith, just talking about whatever the hell we want. More than comics.
I love the name, Salty and Petty. So, yeah. Lilith is the salty one. You're the petty one, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love it a lot. That sounds awesome.
Oh, just wait. I believe the first episode is going to be all live because last week of December, she's coming up here. So,
Oh,
All
awesome.
right. Okay.
that's
so the
right.
first episode, she might be sitting right here beside me. So,
Love it.
Live
Love
comments. Are you getting live comments in?
oh yeah, we're gonna go live. Oh yeah, right.
Lovely.
Love it. Well, that's great.
So and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everything gets a video. So smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a second of any of it. The Patreon again help support this show. Remember, Signal of Doom's Dave said you should be subscribing to the
Gotta do
Patreon.
it.
So
Gotta do it. You gotta keep Phil afloat with these 1,002 shows. Come
exactly.
on.
Pay
It
off
doesn't come cheap.
all this hard work. That's right. I'm not a $10 prostitute. Yes, I'm expensive.
$20, $25.
Exactly. But yes, we get you get early access to creator interviews, including that monthly Chichester chats with that genius, Mr. DG Chichester.
I got the good mic out for you guys.
And like Dave said, the superhero movie brackets. That's again, subscribe before we get to the finale, and then we'll have something different cooked up in 2023. So subscribe and find out. And of course, Capes and Lunatics merch, cups, t-shirts, all of it. Find us at Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. All right, Dave, where can people find Signal of Doom, and what hot fresh episode is up now?
In about 5 minutes, they can find me asleep, curled up next to Michelle. But you can find Signal of Doom on Facebook or on all the main podcasting things. We're at Twitter, Signal of Doom. I also do 2 separate shows, which I always forget to promote. Dread or Dead, about Judge Dredd, and Legion Outpost, about Legion of Superheroes. I do those with Adam, the computer, my buddy. And yeah, we pump those out on a monthly basis, but Signal of Doom's out every week. We just put a new show up. We just recently had James DeMatteis on, and we had Elliot S. Magan on, 2 really, really fun interviews. And we should mention, if anyone is looking to support James DeMatteis, his recent Kickstarter is out. And seriously, go to his Facebook. It's got all the links to the stuff, and he discussed it all on Signal of Doom. We had a really good chat. So, yeah, check us out. Signal of Doom. Me and Rich, blazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go support James DeMatteis, but I think I saw he might have hit his goals already, which no surprise, but
yeah. But I guess he still wants more money. You know what I mean? I mean, he's not going to turn away cash.
Reward demands efforts. He's putting out 4 Kickstarter books at once.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Exactly.
And how many good stories has he given you, peons, over the years? Yes,
thousands.
Plenty.
I asked him as a teaser for my interview with him. My first question is, "Have you had an alien encounter?" That's how I kickstarted the interview, and he was like, "Whoa, we're straight there, Dave." I'm like, "Yeah, we're there."
I just want to start sending out T-shirts to all these creators. Be like, "I survived Signal of Doom."
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Ray, the man who does quite a few podcasts of his own and guest stars on every other podcast on Earth. Yes, tell the people about all your podcasts, Ray.
Yeah, well, thank you. Best way to catch me on Ray at Ray Pod, at REY Pod on Twitter. You could even catch me on Facebook like that as well. Just love chatting about everything. All the links to the shows there. Recorded last night the latest episode for Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. So we look at a classic Mensch issue 22, The Dream Demon. Sounds like Dave. And then we also just recently released on To Know Her Is to Fear Her, the Spider-Woman podcast with Saren. Always so much fun chatting with her. We looked at some Marv Wolfman Marvel 2-in-1s, The Thing with Spider-Woman over issues 31 to 33. So that was a lot of fun too. And also on Last Sons of Krypton, I will be there with Dave and Connor for a Halloween episode, which will come a week early because that's just the way that we're scheduled. But we'll be looking at Superman and Aliens by Dan.
Oh, that's right.
Jurgens. That will be very cool. And then later in the month, because I think we're around the corner from when the latest Predator issue comes out from Marvel. Join me on Predator and Prey with Russell and Justin, and we'll look at Predator 2, the movie.
Oh right.
as well as I think it's issue 3.
I think it is 3.
Predator.
Yeah. It is 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a few chapters from Eyes of the Demon, which is the latest Predator anthology novel. So yeah, at Ray Pod, just check it all out, and I'll drop you a line back.
Question, Ray: with Spider-Woman dying, you're going to have like a moment of silence on your Spider-Woman show? You know, light a candle, pour one out for her or something. You know,
I'll be pouring. Yeah, I'll be pouring. And black armband for sure.
You should get Dan Slott on and just go full on like interrogation style of why he did it. Like, you know, just see how long he can last before he hangs up on you, you know?
Oh, look, the guy's ready to receive death threats from other things.
Really?
Yeah, on Superior Spider-Man. Yeah, he received death threats there. So
that's crazy.
Poor fella's been through enough.
Mind you, I've in all fairness, I've had death threats in my job. I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what? Do I look worried? No, I'm not worried at all.
No.
It's like, seriously, if they want to take the time out of their schedule to try and kill me, good luck. Come. You know?
I love it. Here's my address. Yeah.
But since Ray was mentioning Halloween episodes, yes. So here, kids, next week, you'll hear the 3 of us and Lilith Hellfire for our episode 200 Halloween episode. Covered Craven's Last Hunt.
Yes.
So, that was the one we did, yeah?
Yeah.
It's already in the bag, in the vault, Dave.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That's our big episode 200. Yeah,
it was very good.
Cool.
Yeah,
and then I know Ray is extremely interested. For our Batman show, We Are the Night, the Batman podcast that drops on the podcast October 31st. Myself, Lilith, and Justin the Owl Osgood.
Yeah, I know what you guys are doing.
Arkham Asylum. Yeah.
Oh no!
Excellent
Okay.
story. Grant Morrison.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Have you guys already covered it? Was it the Long Halloween or something? Isn't that?
Yeah, we have done that. Oh, yeah,
I've done
yeah.
that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you read that, Ray?
No, I've heard it's good.
It's good. It's
right.
like it's
Seriously,
Batman's
you need to do
first
yourself
year.
a favor and check that out, Ray,
Oh,
because
yeah.
then you might actually learn a few lessons, pal.
Oh,
You might get on board.
Jeff Loeb, Tim
I
Sale.
tell you what I found really strong was I haven't read all of it, but Court of Owls.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, and The Idiot Root.
The idiot.
What is it?
Oh God, yeah.
The Idiot Root, because that was one of the issues that I reviewed with Phil. So my reading of Batman is very limited. So
Batman's
there you go.
Right.
Yeah. But I heard that's good. And
Oh.
didn't Lilith say Batman Incorporated or something is
good.
very
Yeah.
good?
Oh yeah. That's Grant Morrison.
A lot of the
too.
Grant Morrison stuff is very good. You know.
So,
I'll have to make you a reading list, Ray, of like all the times like Dick Grayson has taken over as Batman.
Well, what about Batman the Cult? Is a good
Oh
story.
yeah,
line.
that's up by
Batman-
Starlin, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Stalin. I
Yeah,
reckon
we
you'd
did
probably
that,
like
yeah.
that one, Ray. Batman the Cult.
80s?
It's like a
Was that-
four-issue mini in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's very strong, very strong,
Okay.
you don't need to know anything more than the basics of Batman.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The Batman Batman gets messed up, so you might like it, Ray.
He gets
Oh, good,
messed up big
excellent.
time,
Oh,
yeah.
sign me up. Oh, I prefer the Batman blue and grey, please.
Yeah.
That one.
That's my favorite too. Yeah, with the gold emblem in the middle.
With the gold emblem and the gold belt. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's the best Batman of all time, Ray. So I agree. That's
Ray-
the Bronze Age of Batman.
Ray, is that your favorite issue of Batman when Bane breaks Batman's back?
Yeah, Ray's like,
I've read that like 25 times.
That's on the bedroom. That's on the
Ray's in the background going, "Yay, Bane!"
Exactly.
You should
Isn't there
return Chuck
an
Dixon and say
animated?
thank you.
Wasn't there an animated and the movie? It's on repeat. That scene is just on repeat over and over.
Just again and again and again. I love it. Well,
All right, let's get out of here. Ray's gonna replaster that bedroom ceiling. All right, kids. Yes, thank you for joining us again. Yes, in 1 week you'll hear these gentlemen again along with me and Lil talking Craven's Last Hunt,
Can't wait.
and then they'll be back in a month.
Yes.
I think it'll be stories that Dave will enjoy much more.
I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
But until then, swing on back.